The valet's words hit me like a freight train. "Your wife left with another man about an hour ago, sir." I was standing in the hotel lobby, still in my work clothes, holding the anniversary flowers I'd rushed across town to deliver. 24 red roses, her favorite. The valet, a kid, maybe 22, looked uncomfortable. I thought you should know. They got into a black Mercedes. He had his hand on her back. They were laughing." My phone felt heavy in my pocket. I pulled it out, opened our text thread. Her last message was from 3 hours ago. "Girls' spa night, don't wait up. Love you." I stood there in that marble lobby, expensive flowers in one hand, phone in the other, and felt something inside me go perfectly crystalline clear. Not rage, not heartbreak, calculation. I typed one sentence: "Enjoy your last night in my house." Hit send. Then I walked out of that hotel, got in my truck, and made 3 phone calls that would change everything. If you want to know what happens when a woman cheats on a man who owns everything she thinks is hers, hit subscribe. Because what I did in the next 48 hours didn't just end a marriage, it rewrote the ending. My name is Nathan Cross. I'm 39 years old, and I've spent the last 15 years building a life in Denver, Colorado. I'm a commercial real estate developer, not the flashy kind you see on TV. I don't build skyscrapers or luxury condos. I build strip malls, medical office buildings, storage facilities, the boring, profitable stuff that actually makes money. I started with one property in 2009, right after the crash, when everyone else was running scared. Bought a distressed shopping center in Aurora for $400,000, fixed it up, leased it out, sold it 3 years later for $1.2 million. Used that money to buy 2 more properties, then 4, then 8. By the time I was 35, I owned 17 commercial properties across the Denver metro area. Total value, approximately $47 million. Annual net income, $3.2 million. And my wife, Vanessa, had no idea. Let me back up. I met Vanessa 8 years ago at a charity fundraiser. She was a pharmaceutical sales rep, beautiful, confident, the kind of woman who could work a room. I was there because I donated to the cause, some children's hospital thing. She approached me at the bar. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else." I laughed. "That obvious?" "Only to someone who feels the same way." We talked for 2 hours. She was smart, funny, ambitious. She told me she was tired of dating men who couldn't handle a successful woman. I told her I was tired of dating women who only cared about what I could buy them. "So what do you do?" she asked. "Real estate," I said. "Small properties, mostly, nothing exciting." It wasn't a lie, just incomplete. We dated for a year, got married in 2017, and I never told her the full picture. Here's the thing about wealth. It changes people. Not the person who has it, the people around them. I learned that lesson early. When I made my first million, I was dating a woman named Ashley. The moment she found out, everything changed. Suddenly, she wanted a bigger ring, a nicer apartment, designer bags. She didn't want me, she wanted my wallet. So when I met Vanessa, I made a decision. I'd keep my finances private. Not hidden, private. I told her I owned a few properties, that I did okay. I drove a normal truck, a 2015 Ford F-150, lived in a nice but not extravagant house in Highlands Ranch. I didn't wear a Rolex or fly first class or talk about money. I just lived. And for a while, it worked. Vanessa made good money, about $140,000 a year. She paid for her car, her clothes, her expenses. I paid the mortgage, utilities, groceries. We split vacations. It felt equal, balanced.
She never asked about my business, never pushed to see bank statements or tax returns, and I never offered. But over the years, I started noticing things, little comments, small resentments. My friend Karen's husband just bought her a Tesla. Why don't we ever go anywhere nice? I saw the cutest bag at Nordstrom's, $3,000. Can you believe that? She'd say it like she was mocking the price, but her eyes told a different story. She wanted that bag, that car, that life, and she blamed me for not giving it to her. The truth? I could have bought her 10 Teslas without blinking, but I wanted to see if she'd love me without them. Turns out, she wouldn't. The affair started about 6 months ago. I didn't catch it immediately. I was busy, closing a deal on a new property, managing tenants, handling construction issues, but the signs were there. Late nights, work dinners, a new perfume. She started dressing differently, more effort, more skin. Not for me, for someone else. His name was Garrett Hale. I found out by accident. I was picking up her dry cleaning. She'd asked me to grab it on my way home, and the receipt fell out of the bag. It wasn't for dry cleaning. It was for a hotel, the Crawford, downtown Denver, $450 a night. Date, 3 weeks ago, the same night she told me she was at a sales conference. I stood in the parking lot staring at that receipt and felt the ground shift under my feet. I didn't confront her, not yet. Instead, I hired someone. His name was Marcus, former cop, now a private investigator. I need to know everything, I told him. Who, when, where, how long. You sure you want to know? He asked. I'm sure. 2 weeks later, Marcus handed me a folder. Inside, photos, timestamps, hotel records, restaurant receipts, Vanessa and Garrett, laughing, kissing, walking into hotels at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Garrett Hale, 34 years old, investment banker, drove a black Mercedes S-Class, everything I wasn't, flashy, expensive, performative. Marcus had even pulled his financials. The guy was leveraged to his eyeballs, big salary, bigger debt. He looked rich, he wasn't. But Vanessa didn't know that. She just saw the car, the suits, the dinners at places with French names, and she thought she was upgrading. I sat in my home office that night, folder open, photos spread across my desk. My wife, another man, hotels I could have bought with pocket change. I should have felt destroyed, betrayed, broken. Instead, I felt calm.
Because I finally had clarity. She didn't love me. She loved the idea of me, or rather, the idea of what she thought I should be. And now she'd found someone who looked the part. Fine, let her have him. But first, I was going to make sure she understood exactly what she was walking away from. I spent the next 3 weeks preparing, not emotionally, legally. I called my attorney, Richard Moss. We'd worked together for years. He handled all my property deals. I need to divorce-proof everything, I told him. Expecting trouble? Preventing it. Richard walked me through it. First, all my properties were held in LLCs, separate legal entities. My name wasn't on the deeds, the companies were. Second, I'd established those LLCs before the marriage, premarital assets. Third, I'd been meticulous about keeping finances separate. Vanessa's name wasn't on any business accounts. She'd never signed a document, never been listed as a member. She has no claim to the business, Richard confirmed. But the house, what about it? It's in your name, but you bought it during the marriage. She could argue it's a marital asset. I smiled. What if I didn't buy it? Richard raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? What if one of my LLCs bought it and I've been paying rent to my own company? Richard leaned back. Have you? I have now. I restructured everything. The house, our home, the place Vanessa thought we owned together, was quietly transferred to one of my holding companies. I backdated a lease agreement, market rate rent, signed by me as both landlord and tenant. Perfectly legal, perfectly clean. Then I did the same with the cars. Her Audi, leased by the company, assigned to her as a benefit. The furniture, purchased by the LLC, provided as part of the rental. Even the art on the walls, stuff she'd picked out, stuff she loved, technically belonged to the company. On paper, Vanessa owned nothing. She just didn't know it yet. I gave Marcus one more job. I need to know when they're together, real time. You want to catch them? I want to time it perfectly. He set up monitoring, discreet, legal, and then I waited. The call came on a Thursday evening. I was at a property site, walking through a new medical building with my project manager. My phone buzzed. Marcus. There at the Crawford, checked in 20 minutes ago, room 1847. I looked at my watch, 6:47 p.m. Thanks, Marcus. I hung up, turned to my project manager. I need to cut this short, family emergency. I drove downtown, not to the hotel, to a florist 3 blocks away. Ordered 24 red roses. Our anniversary was in 2 weeks, but I wasn't waiting. Card? The florist asked. No card. I'll deliver them myself. I walked into the Crawford at 7:30 p.m. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, the kind of place that charges $18 for a cocktail. I was still in my work clothes, jeans, boots, a flannel shirt. I looked like I'd wandered in from a construction site, which technically I had. The valet was standing near the entrance, young kid, maybe 22, in a burgundy uniform. I walked up to him. Excuse me, I'm looking for my wife, Vanessa Cross. Have you seen her? His face changed. Uncomfortable. Guilty. Sir, It's okay, I said calmly. I just need to know if she's here. He swallowed. Your wife left with another man about an hour ago, sir.
The words hung in the air. They got into a black Mercedes. He had his hand on her back. They were laughing. I nodded slowly. Thank you for telling me. I'm sorry, sir. Don't be. I stood there for a moment, flowers in hand, and pulled out my phone. Opened my text thread with Vanessa. Her last message, Girls' spa night, don't wait up. Love you. I typed one sentence. Enjoy your last night in my house. Hit send. Then I turned and walked out. I didn't go home. I went to my office, called Richard. It's time, I said. You're sure? I'm sure. Okay, I'll file first thing in the morning. Next, I called my property manager, Linda. I need you to change the locks on the Highlands Ranch property tonight. Tonight? Tonight. And I need you to document everything inside. Photos, inventory, the works. Nathan, what's going on? I'm protecting my assets. She didn't ask questions. I'll have a crew there in an hour. Finally, I called Marcus. I need you to serve her tomorrow morning at her office. You want her served at work? I want her to understand this isn't a negotiation. Consider it done. I sat in my office until midnight, staring at my phone. Vanessa hadn't responded to my text. She was probably with him, laughing, celebrating, thinking she'd gotten away with it. At 12:47 a.m., my phone finally buzzed. Vanessa, what are you talking about? I didn't respond. 3 minutes later, Nathan, answer me. Then, this isn't funny. Then, I'm coming home. I typed one word, don't. She called. I didn't answer. She called again and again. I turned off my phone and went to sleep on the couch in my office. For the first time in months, I slept through the night. The next morning, I was up at 6 a.m., showered at the gym, grabbed coffee, drove to a property site. At 9:15 a.m., Marcus texted me a photo. Vanessa standing in the lobby of her office building, holding a manila envelope. Her face was pale, shocked. The caption, delivered.
I stared at that photo for a long time. Then I put my phone away and got back to work. She called 47 times that day. I didn't answer. She texted, "We need to talk. This is insane. You can't just lock me out of my own house. I have rights. Nathan, please." I responded once at 5 p.m. All communication goes through my attorney, Richard Moss. His number is on the papers. That was it. By the end of the week, Vanessa had hired a lawyer. Her name was Sharon Kellerman, aggressive, expensive, known for taking men to the cleaners in divorce court. She sent Richard a letter demanding immediate access to the house, the cars, financial records, threatening sanctions if I didn't comply. Richard called me. "She's coming in hot. Let her." "Nathan, she's going to argue that you're hiding assets, that the LLCs are a sham, that you're trying to defraud her. Can she prove it?" "No, but she can make noise." "Let her make noise," I said. "I've got paperwork going back 8 years. Everything's clean." "Okay, but be ready. This is going to get ugly." It already is.
The first hearing was 2 weeks later. Temporary orders. Who gets what while the divorce is pending? Vanessa wanted the house, her car, and $10,000 a month in temporary support. I sat across from her in the courtroom. She wouldn't look at me. Sharon stood up. "Your Honor, my client has been locked out of her home with no notice, no access to her belongings, and no financial support." The judge, a woman in her 60s named Patricia Ortiz, looked at me. "Mr. Cross?" Richard stood. "Your Honor, the property in question is not owned by Mr. Cross. It's owned by Cross Holdings, LLC, a company established in 2014. Mr. Cross is a tenant." Sharon scoffed. "That's absurd. He's trying to hide assets." "I'm not hiding anything," Richard interrupted. "I'm clarifying ownership. The LLC owns the property. Mr. Cross pays rent. Mrs. Cross was a guest." Judge Ortiz frowned. "Mrs. Cross never signed a lease?" "No, Your Honor." "Did she contribute to the mortgage?" "There is no mortgage, Your Honor. The property was purchased outright by the LLC." Sharon jumped in. "Your Honor, this is clearly a sham designed to—" "Do you have evidence it's a sham?" the judge asked. Well, because if the LLC was established before the marriage and Mrs. Cross never held an ownership stake, then it's not a marital asset." Sharon's face tightened. "We'll be filing discovery requests." "You're welcome to," Judge Ortiz said. "But until you can prove otherwise, Mr. Cross is under no obligation to provide access to a property he doesn't own." She turned to me. "Mr. Cross, where is Mrs. Cross currently residing?" "I believe she's staying with a friend, Your Honor." "And her vehicle?" "Also owned by the LLC. It's been returned to the company." Vanessa's head snapped up. "You took my car?" "It wasn't your car," I said calmly. Judge Ortiz banged her gavel. "Enough. Mrs. Cross, you'll need to make your own living arrangements. Mr. Cross, you'll provide a list of Mrs. Cross's personal belongings. She'll have supervised access to retrieve them." "Your Honor," Sharon started. "That's my ruling. Next case." Outside the courtroom, Vanessa cornered me. "You bastard! You're really going to do this?" "Do what?" I asked. "Protect what's mine? I'm your wife." "You were my wife," I corrected. "Now you're just someone who made a choice." "I made a mistake." "You made a choice," I repeated. "You chose him. You chose hotels and lies and thinking I wasn't enough." Her eyes filled with tears. "Nathan, please, we can fix this." "No," I said, "we can't." I walked away. Behind me, I heard her sob. I didn't look back. Over the next 3 months, Sharon tried everything. She subpoenaed my business records. Richard provided them. Every LLC, every property, every transaction. All clean, all legal, all premarital, or kept separate. She argued that I'd commingled funds. Richard showed that I'd kept meticulous records. Every personal expense paid from personal accounts, every business expense from business accounts.
She tried to claim I'd used marital funds to grow the business. Richard showed that the business had grown through reinvestment of its own profits. She demanded a forensic accountant. The accountant confirmed everything Richard had said. At every turn, Sharon hit a wall, because I'd built those walls carefully, deliberately, not to hurt Vanessa, to protect what I'd built. 4 months after I filed, we were back in court.
Final hearing. Sharon made one last push. Your Honor, my client has been married to Mr. Cross for 8 years. She supported him emotionally, maintained their home, contributed to their life together. She deserves compensation. Judge Ortiz looked at me. Mr. Cross? Richard stood. Your Honor, Mrs. Cross earned $140,000 annually during the marriage. She maintained her own career, her own finances. She was never dependent on Mr. Cross. She lived in his house. She lived in a house owned by his company, Richard corrected, rent-free as a courtesy. She drove a car he provided, a company car assigned as a benefit. Sharon's voice rose. Your Honor, he's playing games. I'm following the law, Richard said calmly. Mrs. Cross is entitled to half of the marital assets, but Mr. Cross's business is not a marital asset. Judge Ortiz reviewed the file, flipped through pages, sighed. I agree, she said finally. Sharon's face fell. Mrs. Cross is entitled to half of the joint accounts, which total approximately $40,000. She's entitled to her personal belongings, her retirement account, and her vehicle, which she'll need to purchase or lease independently. She looked at Vanessa. Mrs. Cross, I understand you're disappointed, but the law is clear. Assets established before the marriage, kept separate during the marriage, are not subject to division. Vanessa's voice was small. That's it? That's it. The gavel fell. Outside, Vanessa stood on the courthouse steps, looking lost. I walked past her, stopped. For what it's worth, I said, I would have given you everything if you'd just been honest. She looked up at me, mascara streaked. I didn't know. You didn't ask, I said. You just assumed I wasn't enough. I handed her an envelope. What's this? A check, $50,000. It's not required. It's not part of the settlement. It's just so you can get on your feet. She stared at it. Why? Because I'm not doing this to destroy you. I'm doing it to protect myself. I walked away. That was the last time I saw her. 6 months later, I sold one of my properties for $8 million. Used the profit to buy a penthouse in downtown Denver, floor-to-ceiling windows, view of the mountains. I didn't buy it to show off. I bought it because I finally could, because I wasn't hiding anymore. I started dating again, slowly, carefully. I met a woman named Claire. She's a teacher, makes $52,000 a year. She drives a Honda, clips coupons, thinks $100 dinners are extravagant. On our 3rd date, I told her the truth. I need you to know something, I said. I'm financially comfortable. She laughed. Comfortable? What does that mean? It means I own some properties. I do okay. How okay? I took a breath. Very okay. She studied my face. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't want secrets. She nodded slowly. Okay. Does it change who you are? No. Then it doesn't change how I see you. We've been together a year now. She still doesn't know the exact number, and she's never asked, because she loves me, not my portfolio. As for Vanessa, I heard through mutual friends that she and Garrett broke up 3 months after the divorce. Turns out his lifestyle was funded by credit cards and loans. When the bills came due, the Mercedes got repossessed. The fancy dinners stopped. The illusion shattered. She's working now, same job, same salary, but she's starting over, alone. I don't take pleasure in that, but I don't regret it either. Here's what I learned. You can't build a life with someone who doesn't see your value. You can't love someone into respecting you. And you can't protect yourself after the damage is done. You have to build the walls before the storm. I built mine carefully, legally, quietly, not because I expected betrayal, because I respected what I'd built too much to leave it unprotected. When Vanessa walked out of that hotel with another man, she thought she was walking towards something better. She didn't realize she was walking away from everything. If this story hit home, comment, "I built walls." If you've ever been underestimated, if you've ever protected what you built, if you've ever watched someone realize too late what they lost, this one's for you. Hit subscribe for more stories about the quiet power of preparation. Because the best revenge isn't showing them what they lost, it's being so well protected that losing you was their only option.